Have you ever spent countless hours studying a language only to freeze completely when it's time to actually speak it? What if I told you that the secret to fluency might be hiding in the most unexpected place? Not in fancy apps or expensive courses, but in something as simple as a pen and paper. Today, I'm going to reveal how one Nobel Prize-winning physicist accidentally discovered the most powerful language learning hack that most polyglots don't even know about. Has this ever happened to you? You've memorized hundreds of vocabulary words, completed dozens of grammar exercises, yet when the moment comes to order food in a restaurant or ask for directions, your mind goes completely blank. If you're nodding right now, you're not alone. This frustrating experience is what led Richard Feynman, one of history's greatest scientific minds, to revolutionize his approach to language acquisition. What makes this technique so fascinating is that it contradicts much of what we've been taught about language learning. While most methods emphasize passive consumption, watching videos, listening to podcasts, using flashcard apps, Feynman discovered that active creation through writing dramatically accelerated his progress, particularly with Japanese, a language notoriously difficult for English speakers. I was skeptical at first, Feynman noted in his journals, but within weeks of starting this simple daily habit, I was noticing improvements in areas of my language skills I didn't even realize were problematic. The transformation was so profound that he began documenting the neurological basis for why it worked. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover might completely transform your language learning journey. The science behind this method is actually quite fascinating. When Feynman dug into the research, he found something neuroscientists call depth of processing. Essentially, the deeper you engage with information, the more permanently it etches itself into your neural pathways. Unlike passive learning, writing forces your brain to retrieve vocabulary, construct grammatical structures, and create meaning, all processes that mirror what happens when you speak. The extra mental effort is precisely what makes it so effective, Feynman explained. When you write, you're activating the same neural networks involved in speaking, but without the time pressure of conversation. What's particularly exciting is that this method works regardless of your current level, whether you're a complete beginner or already conversational. The principles apply universally. And the best part, you don't need special equipment, expensive software, or even internet access to implement it. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, let me walk you through exactly how Feynman structured this revolutionary language practice, and how a small tweak he discovered accidentally made it even more effective than standard journaling approaches. What made Feynman's approach truly revolutionary wasn't just the practice itself, but the profound mindset shift that accompanied it. While most language learners approach practice with the stress of perfection hanging over them, Feynman made a critical discovery in his journey. He realized that treating language acquisition as play rather than performance created a transformation in both his results and enjoyment. The hidden truth I discovered, he wrote in his notes, was that perfectionism was actually my biggest obstacle. Instead of agonizing over every grammatical structure or vocabulary choice, he embraced what he called the experimental mindset. This meant giving himself permission to make mistakes, to try new phrases, and to express half-formed thoughts without judgment. This revelation completely changed his relationship with language learning. I'd rather stay in the flow than get stuck looking up the perfect word, became his mantra. By removing the pressure to be flawless, he discovered something counterintuitive. His progress actually accelerated. The freedom to make mistakes paradoxically led to fewer of them over time. But perhaps the most unexpected benefit was how this practice became a form of self-therapy. As Feynman documented his thoughts, dreams, and daily reflections in his target language, he found himself processing emotions and clarifying thoughts in ways he hadn't anticipated. The act of journaling became a journey of self-discovery that happened to dramatically improve his language skills at the same time. When it came to implementing this practice, Feynman was meticulously practical, recognizing that the biggest obstacle to any new habit is overwhelm. He started with just 15 minutes of writing per day, a commitment almost anyone could maintain regardless of their schedule. This deliberate decision to start small proved crucial to his consistent practice. He developed a simple but powerful system for those initial sessions. Rather than facing the intimidation of a blank page, he began each entry with an accessible prompt in his target language. Yesterday or I would love to, or I've been thinking about. These simple starting points provided just enough structure to overcome initial resistance while allowing for authentic expression. For absolute beginners, Feynman recommended an even gentler approach. Start with the simplest possible sentences. He advised a struggling colleague, "I am hungry, I like coffee, the weather is nice today." The emphasis wasn't on complexity, but on consistency, building the neural pathways through regular practice rather than linguistic sophistication. As comfort increased, he gradually introduced more complex structures and vocabulary, but always at a pace that maintained flow. He discovered that this gradual progression created a positive feedback loop. Each small success built confidence, which encouraged more experimentation, which led to greater progress. What's particularly fascinating about Feynman's approach was how he incorporated his own background in the sciences. He treated each writing session as a mini-experiment, noting patterns in his errors and making small adjustments to his process. This scientific mindset allowed him to refine his technique in ways most language learners never consider. Now, I want to go even deeper into the specific techniques Feynman developed to maximize the impact of this practice, including his surprising discovery about the power of handwriting versus typing and the ingenious feedback system he developed to correct his own work. If you're feeling inspired to try this approach yourself, write in the comments. Ready to experiment like Feynman? One fascinating revelation from Feynman's language journey came from his unexpected discovery about the medium itself. While most of us default to digital tools for convenience, Feynman found something profound in the analog approach. There's something magical about the tactile sensation of pen on paper, he observed in his research journals. This wasn't just nostalgic preference. He uncovered compelling neuroscience behind this choice. The physical act of handwriting creates a unique neural imprint that typing simply doesn't replicate. When we form letters by hand, our brains engage more deeply with the language, creating stronger memory pathways and more meaningful connections. For Feynman, this wasn't just theory, it was a breakthrough that transformed his practice. I noticed my retention improved dramatically once I switched from laptop to notebook, he noted. Beyond the cognitive benefits, handwriting offered practical advantages too. Without autocorrect and predictive text, he was forced to confront his actual knowledge gaps rather than having technology mask them. Each mistake became visible, creating a more authentic portrait of his current abilities. The analog approach provided another unexpected benefit: freedom from digital distraction. When I open my notebook, it's just me and the language, Feynman explained. No notifications, no browser tabs, no temptation to switch tasks. This created a meditative quality to his practice, a focused environment where deep learning could flourish. That said, Feynman was always practical. For languages with different writing systems like Mandarin or Arabic, He acknowledged that digital tools offered valuable support, especially for beginners. The key is mindfulness about your choice, he advised. Ask yourself what serves your learning journey best at each stage. Perhaps the most powerful insight from Feynman's approach was his systematic feedback loop, what he called the science of error. After completing each writing session, he implemented a three-step review process that accelerated his progress exponentially. First, he would immediately reread his own work, catching obvious mistakes and noting patterns in his errors. This self-assessment cultivated a crucial skill, the ability to recognize his own weaknesses without external help. Then he would seek expert feedback, originally from native speakers, but now easily accessible through language exchange, partners, or even AI tools. The magic happened in the third step. Rather than simply noting corrections, Feynman would physically mark them in red ink, creating a visual record of his growth areas. By embracing errors as data points rather than failures, he explained, every mistake becomes a stepping stone to fluency. This reframing completely shifted his relationship with imperfection. What's remarkable about this approach is how it creates a personalized curriculum. Unlike generic textbooks or courses, this feedback loop targets precisely what you need to improve. The corrections highlight your specific patterns, the vocabulary relevant to your life, and the expressions you personally want to use. Over time, Feynman noticed something extraordinary. The red ink began to diminish. Areas that once required extensive correction showed marked improvement. This visible progress created a powerful motivational effect, fueling his continued practice even through challenging periods. The beauty of this method is its adaptability to modern tools while maintaining the core principles. Today, we can enhance Feynman's approach using digital resources that weren't available in his time, creating even more powerful learning experiences. If you've experienced the frustration of forgetting vocabulary you thought you knew, write in the comments, "My brain needs Feynman's method." So there you have it. Feynman's revolutionary approach to language learning that combines the science of neurology with the simplicity of daily practice. What I love most about this method is that it doesn't require expensive software or complicated systems, just a notebook, a pen, and a few minutes of your day. If you found value in these insights about language learning, consider joining our community by subscribing. I'm constantly researching and sharing these kinds of evidence-based techniques that can transform not just language acquisition, but learning of all kinds. I'd love to hear about your own language learning journey. If you've made it all the way through and you're ready to put Feynman's method into practice, drop a comment saying, "Starting my Feynman experiment today." I personally read through the comments and love connecting with fellow language enthusiasts. If this approach resonated with you, hitting that like button helps more people discover these science-backed learning methods that aren't commonly taught in traditional language courses. For those of you eager to continue improving your language skills, I've created a video right here about memory techniques specifically designed for vocabulary retention that pairs perfectly with Feynman's journaling method. Click on it and let's continue exploring how to make language learning more efficient and enjoyable together. Until next time, happy writing and happy learning.